Happy Wednesday, everyone! We're 4 days into the new year, and I hope it's been kind to you. I'm Stella Chung, and in today's fix, Naughty Dog showcased new concept art from the Last of Us multiplayer game. Starfield is confirmed to not have any more delays, and Wizards of the Coast canceled 5 video games ahead of Baldur's Gate 3. I've got a ton of fun details in these stories for you, so let's just get into it. Naughty Dog shared new concept art from the Last of Us multiplayer game that was announced last year. Studio co-founder Neil Druckmann said in a blog post that while the game is solidly a multiplayer experience, it will still be a story and character-rich game. In light of the 10th anniversary of The Last of Us, Druckmann said more details will be coming about the multiplayer game and, quote, fun surprises along the way. Druckmann also said, quote, with a team led by Vinit Agarwal, Joe Pettinati, and Anthony Newman, the project is shaping up to be a fresh, new experience from our studio, but one rooted in Naughty Dog's passion for delivering incredible stories, characters, and gameplay. The concept art looks a lot like what you'd expect from The Last of Us, with abandoned structures, a giant cruise ship rotting away docked on some rocks, and overgrown foliage. This is the second piece of concept art revealed for the multiplayer game, with the first being revealed at last year's Summer Game Fest. I honestly can't imagine what kind of game this is going to be. I played a bit of Factions multiplayer from the first game, but the multiplayer and survival game landscape has changed a lot since then. What do you think it'll play like? Let us know. Xbox has had a really rough past year with very few first-party titles released and multiple major delays, but that won't be the case in 2023. Starfield was originally supposed to launch last November, but Bethesda Game Studios delayed it until the first half of 2023. I, like many others, had a lot of doubts that Starfield would actually launch in that timeframe, but the support page for Starfield officially confirms that Starfield will arrive exclusively on Xbox Series X and S and PC in the first half of 2023. We haven't gotten much more information on the actual solid date yet, but Bethesda has been releasing information about the game over the last few months, with the last major content drop being a Q&A session with Starfield's lead quest designer Will Shen. There was actually an interesting portion of that discussion where Shen talked about companions and their roles in Starfield. Shen said, quote, we've also added in several times where you can ask them to speak for you. So you might have a companion with you and you'll be challenged till someone will tell you you can't get through here, and you can actually turn to your companion and say, hey, actually, could you handle this? And they'll speak on your behalf, and there could be consequences, good or bad, for what they happen to say. As someone who loves the Fallout universe, like seriously, I have a Stimpack tattoo, so I love it. I am super stoked for Starfield, and I'm really glad it's on track, but please, please Bethesda, I'm begging you, give us a hard release date. In less fun news, Magic the Gathering and Dungeons & Dragons owners, Wizards of the Coast has canceled at least 5 unannounced video games. We don't have any official details on what these games would have been, but on the bright side, the Hasbro subsidiary claims that fewer than 15 people at the company have been impacted by the changes. In a statement to IGN, a Wizards representative explained that, quote, we remain committed to using digital games as a cornerstone of our strategy for bringing our games to players around the world. We have made some changes to our long-term portfolio to focus on games which are strategically aligned with developing our existing brands and those which show promise in expanding or engaging our audience in new ways. Wizards of the Coast claims to be committed to using digital games, which makes sense following the success of Magic the Gathering Arena. Unfortunately, the last Dungeons & Dragons game, Dark Alliance, was met with mostly negative reviews, and its focus on action over role-playing seemed to alienate a lot of D&D fans. Thankfully, the long-awaited D&D RPG Baldur's Gate 3 is on track for a full release in August, and its early access build has already amassed over 50,000 very positive reviews on Steam. That said, the lengthy development of Baldur's Gate 3 might have had an impact on Wizards' other cancellations. For context, Baldur's Gate 3 was at one point going to be a Stadia launch title, and Stadia will officially be offline in 2 weeks. How do you think The Last of Us multiplayer is going to work? And are you excited for Starfield? Let us know! I'm Stella Chung, and now that you're all caught up on the news, check out our feature on the biggest game releases in 2023 to make sure you don't miss anything. Be sure to download the IGN app, subscribe to the Daily Fix on Snapchat, and of course, for all things gaming, keep it right here at IGN.